Hi, this is Adam with the second installment of the Patter Technique series. This time around, I want to show you how to use Live's notion of racks to organize more complex patter sets. And I hope that this sheds some light on the presets that ship with Patter. There are certain conventions that I used when building those out and how I set up racks and chains and all that. So maybe it'll help you parse those, or maybe it'll just inspire you to find your own ways of organizing patter sets with racks. So to jump right into it, I've got a little synth here in a MIDI track, and I'm going to start right off by dropping in a patter. And before I even hit play, just put in some, common presets that I like. This is often how I start out, just getting some kind of a bass line. Hooray. So that is generating. And now I'm going to go ahead and drop in a rack. That lives inside MIDI Effects. The MIDI Effect Rack, I'll just double click that and slide the patter right into there. And it obviously still plays as usual. So the first cool thing with racks is that I can hit this button to see the chains. And chains are kind of ways of organizing a number of devices in one place or grouping them. So straight away, what's fun about chains is that if you have a set with a bunch of patter devices, like 6 or 7 or more, you can't see them all on screen at the same time. But when I hit play, you can see in the chain we get a little level meter there. And this affords some interesting opportunities. So I'm just going to go ahead and rename this chain A and rename the patter device A as well, which the reason for doing that will become clear in a moment. And then I will go ahead and duplicate the whole chain, which gives us a copy of the chain and a copy of the device. If I hit play, they just both start playing at the same time. And I'll rename the second one B. And I'll rename the device B as well. So now I'm going to do kind of a basic convention that I do a lot with Patter as well, which is kind of set up all the devices in a round robin so that one follows the other and they pass control between each other. So this is covered in the tutorial, so I'll go kind of quickly here. But basically A still starts on play, but it'll also start after B. This menu is automatically populated from all Patter devices. And B will not start on play, but it will start after A. And I'm just going to have them each only generate one segment. So now what's fun is in this chain interface, we can see the little level meters. We can see the control being passed back and forth. You can imagine how valuable this is when you have a whole bunch of Patter devices. Even if I go ahead and hide the patters, we can still see that they're alive and kicking in there. So now another thing that I do that I think is really cool about racks is, say you want 2 patters to fire at the same time to build a chord or something. I can just go to B and once again duplicate it. And for clarity, let's name this duplicate B2 and go back to our original and name that B1. So you can see I've got the 2 side by side right now. And I'll have B2, instead of starting at the same time as A, which might be what I want, but it's not always what I want, I'll have it start with B1 so that they fire at the same time. The reasons for doing that are basically if you want to have them fire for different durations or keep playing for different amounts of time, it can be really nice to have one follow the other, or play with the other rather, sorry. And I'm going to bump up the pitch of the second one so that we can hear a little more distinction in their pitches in the chords. So we can see clearly in the level meters, or rather the little viewers, that they're both playing at the same time. And still all is more or less the same here. So that's a kind of a basic organizational pattern that I've been using a lot. Now I'll show you another cool thing about racks, which all of this you may or may not be familiar with, but is really slick, for organizing complex things. We can set up these macros, which are sort of like knobs that can be used to map to a bunch of devices. But that works with Patter because, of course, every knob in Patter is mappable. So I'm going to go ahead and just take the mean of the top part of the rhythm and map that to macro 1. That's more or less control of the speed of how fast it plays back. And I'll do that for both of the B instances, and I'll do it for the A device as well. So we can see up here in the channel mapping area that we've got 3 different knobs mapped to that macro. So I'll switch the macro off and I'll give it a meaningful name like speed and set it to some middle value. Now when I hit play, they're still at that middle value, but if I crank it up, you go really slow on the left and really fast on the right. Again, I'll put that in the same middle value. And so what's cool is as you build up the patcher, you realize you get to a point where you can hide the actual patter devices because you've mapped their parameters. And at a certain point, if you don't need to see these little level meters, you can just hide that as well. And you've pretty much boiled down your complex patter patch just to a really simple couple of macros. Just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and add one more device to our chain just to kind of demonstrate this pattern that often I'll keep building and get 3 or 5 or more of those in here. And so as you might guess, I'm going to call this C. I'm going to call that C. And I'm going to update the mapping so that C starts playing after B1. We'll leave B2 alone, and it won't start playing on play. Likewise, A will start playing after C now. So we should get a round robin of the 3 with the chord on B. What's fun about this also is that C has inherited the macro mapping. You can see there are 4 mappings now. The mean has been mapped to the speed macro, so that's just happened automatically because we use the duplicate feature. So now if I crank up the speed, but suppose that's not what I want. Maybe I want C to add a little more color and flavor. I'll make it really low. I'll make it continue for a kind of randomish amount of times down here. And maybe I say, I don't want it to be mappable. I want it to always be really, really fast. Just for fun. And I'll add this here. Now I've just already added a little bit more variation, a little more flavor. Maybe I'll remove the downbeat requirement on C, remove it on A2. And so on. I'm kind of just goofing around now. That's basically what I wanted to show, though, that we can build up these complex patter racks, essentially, and you can share those with people. And just to kind of bring the point home, I'm going to go ahead and just delete the rack we just made and drop in one of the presets. Inside polyphonic, which seems like would be a good fit for this synth, I'll just drop in minimal loopism. Takes a little minute to load because it's loading a bunch of Max for Live devices. And this is a rack that's actually got another rack nested inside of it so that we can apply an effect after that. You can keep building up and building up, but we don't even really need to see this rack inside of it. You can just hit play and just kind of start messing with controls. Anyway, you can have a lot of fun with it, and you'll see how these things are actually structured. So please share anything that you make with these methods and techniques. I love seeing what people come up with. And if you haven't already, please do like Patter on Facebook and sign up for the email list at playpatter.com to stay in touch as new developments come along. Thanks so much and have fun.